Hey Sebastian, how are you?
Hi, Antonio. Good morning. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us today and taking the time to speak with us.
Of
My
course.
first question for you is, what was your collaboration with the author like?
It was really great. I mean, I got to know Don pretty early on, and he was really just generous with his time, and he lives in Southern Ohio, where the store showed us like, well, this is the place that inspired this scene. This is kind of person that inspired this character, and getting that insight was so invaluable. And then through the process of creating the narration, he was so generous with not just recording things, but also kind of like providing alternative takes and trying things out. And so it was. I can't say enough about how great that collaboration was for me as a filmmaker, and yeah.
Were there any challenges that came with adapting a novel like this into a screenplay?
Yeah, I mean, this novel has a very unusual rhythm, jumping from one character to another, like multiple times, and kind of sort of randomly at times, or seemingly randomly. Um, and so in trying to adapt it to a film, we wanted to maintain the spirit of these kind of multiple threads that are all kind of tied together through Arvin. Um, and so trying to figure out how to translate that to a feature length was the ultimate challenge of making this adaptation. And we had to make some really sort of tough choices about what we were going to take out of the book and how long we would be with each character.
I can imagine. And speaking of the characters, how is a collaboration like with the actors and making sure that they understood your vision?
Every actor has a different process, and in general, you kind of like you talk to them as much or as little as they want to talk, and you kind of are always available to answer questions. And you, in some ways, you're in the driver's seat, but you're letting them kind of guide you and sort of to tell you what they need. Because you never want to like over like inundate them with too much. There's a book, so there's like the script and there's a book, and so what I always kind of pointed to was, I pointed to like specific sections of the book that could inform the character in a way. And then I would also, really focus on the accents and talking about physicality, so that we figured out this sort of, not only just for the character, but that they all felt like they came from the same places. Because you have to, like, people from West Virginia got to sound like people from West Virginia. People from Ohio got to sound like they're from Ohio. And people from the backwoods sound different than the people from the city. So all of that stuff, we had to make sure that we got right. Um, so that was kind of the way that I would approach everybody, and kind of like the bigger picture that I was always keeping in mind.
Speaking of the accents which you mentioned, I have to bring this up because Robert Pattinson's accent in particular was just so incredible. Is there any story behind his like choices with that?
Well, the thing with Rob and that accent was, we knew the guy was from Tennessee, so we looked at Tennessee, but we were looking at different people from Tennessee. And we had this wonderful dialect coach who was working with all the actors, and I don't even know if Rob talked to him once, or if or what, but like Rob was always very hard to like pin down. Like we couldn't ever get him to like, and at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure the reason why he didn't want to talk to the dialect coach so much is because he wanted to have his own process. Like he wasn't so interested in being like authentic Tennessee. He was interested in coming up with a character through the voice. And so he didn't want to be he didn't want to be held down creatively by the sort of reality. He wanted to find something that was wholly original. And because that character comes from another place that we don't ever go to, it really allowed him to be that free. Everybody else is from a place where we actually spend time in and get to know other characters in. So we had to create more of a unity there. But Teagard and Rob's character comes from a place outside of the movie. So he could go wherever he wanted to go. And as long as we were consistent with it, and we we were hitting something that felt, real, then it would work.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. I mean, all of the actors here, definitely you could tell that they stepped outside of their comfort zone and did completely different things than we're used to seeing them in
Yeah.
their previous work. And it was a great movie. Thank you for your
Thanks.
time, Antonio. Have a great
Thanks,
day.
Sebastian. You too.